making it in America is the path forward for us. We put in the Recovery Act more green technology jobs than ever in the history of America. And by the way, that vote that you said that I missed, you're right, I did miss that vote. I was in Hartford, Connecticut with the President of the United States, Bill Clinton, who gave us a surplus, who took us back by following the procedure of investing in America and American-made jobs.
Mr. Krajewski, 90 seconds.
So, you were doing the executive branch's bidding instead of being in the people's house. And I
doing the bidding.
And for me, when I hear you say that we need to keep jobs in America, I want to know why you haven't worked to repeal NAFTA, CAFTA, and the WTO free trade agreements. Those are what's killing us. And when we allow corporations to outsource jobs overseas, we lower the standards of the American worker. And to me, it's fundamental that we raise the standards of the American worker. In 2008, when President Barack Obama was campaigning for president, he said, I want to raise the minimum wage to $9.50 an hour. The People's House has failed to hold his feet to the fire and force him to fulfill that promise. And I want to ask you, Congressman Larson, I asked you last week in West Hartford, and you didn't answer, and I ask you again, why haven't you worked to raise the minimum wage for the American worker? This, to me, is a fundamental issue of human rights, because the minimum wage today has less buying power than it did 30 or 40 years ago because of inflation, because of the fact that it's not keeping up with cost of living increases, which you in Congress see so fit to give yourselves.
You guys go to Mr. Hutchinson, 90 seconds.
Well, first of all, Congress did not give itself any raise.
I'm up next. You can do that in closing statements. Due to the format, Mr. Hutchinson goes next.
Look, I can't understand this. Non-financial companies are now sitting on $1.8 trillion in cash. It's roughly a quarter more than since the start of the recession. And they're not going to release a single fund to create new jobs because high unemployment is good for investors. It allows them to squeeze more profits out of the workers and smash our unions. Workers now produce 50% more they're now producing 50% more than any other time and creating more wealth. We're working 20% longer than we have, since the 1970s. If we reduce the work week while keeping our pay the same, we would not only, and spread out the available work, we would not only end unemployment, we'd also have a decent livable wage.
The appropriations process, we made sure that fuel cell technology, but also UTC Power, got the kind of funding that they need. Extended tax credits. We just saw in the city of Hartford 4 new fuel cell powered buses with Connecticut workers, with Connecticut technology, with clean, green technology. We are in the process of transitioning to a hydrogen economy. Since I was a member of the state Senate, we have been working on making sure that we provide fuel cell technology, something that's been around for a while. Look, if we can heat and cool and provide the drinking water on the space station, we can get people back and forth to work and heat and cool our buildings with fuel cell technology. We have 8 companies in the state of Connecticut. I have been proud to be the lead sponsor of this and chairman, also bipartisan chairman of the Hydrogen Caucus in the United States Congress. We continue to put money forward here to make sure that we are going to have a green technology. This is where the growth opportunities exist for us. Here in the whole area, whether it's solar, whether it's wind, whether it's geothermal, or whether it's fuel cell technology, this is where we must continue to make our very specific and targeted investments that will allow this economy to grow. Finally, just let me say this with respect to answering some of the questions that have been raised. I have always been in support of the minimum wage, and more importantly, in support of working families all across this great state of ours.
Mr. Krajewski, 2 minutes.
I don't want to go back to this, but if you've been in support of it, why isn't it done? You're the 4th most powerful congressman in the House of Representatives. There are working people in the city of Hartford, in the city of Winston, in the city of Torrington who need your help and they're not providing it. This is why you've been a very good congressman, but we can do better. Okay? As far as increasing our ability in the state of Connecticut to be better producers of green electricity, particularly within the hydrogen economy, and particularly within fuel cells, I think United Technologies clearly is one of the developing fuel cell technology. And I think any time that we say that we're going to give UTC a military contract, we're going to say, whatever profits you make off of this, you have to pour right back into fuel cell development and research. I think 4 hydrogen buses is fantastic, but it's insufficient. We have more than 80,000 cars that come in and out of the city of Hartford every day, and we need incentives to get people out of their cars. We need, I love the fact that you guys just produced $121 million in high-speed rail money to go from New Haven to Springfield. That's fantastic. But now we need to get that money to other mass transit projects. And we also need to get more buses. We need to increase production, and the only way that we can do that is by decreasing military production, or conversely, increasing technical school education in the way that education funding is getting cut. Connecticut technical schools are having a problem producing needed workers. Thank you.
Mr. Hutchinson, 2 minutes.
We need an emergency response to the climate crisis that puts working people in the driver's seat and grants no concessions to big business. We need to reduce all carbon emissions by 90% by the year 2020 worldwide. This is an emergency. We need to reorganize every sector of society, from housing to food to manufacturing to city design. We need to do this in a coordinated fashion that reduces the greenhouse emissions and at the same time improving the living standards of working people. And part of this is converting the war industry to renewable green industries. And we also have to say no to nuclear power, no to the use of hydrocarbons and these so-called biofuels. These are not helping us. We also cannot rely on switching to natural gas. Natural gas, John Larson has repeatedly said that there's a 200-year reserve here in this country. We cannot stand another 200 years of carbon emissions with the use of natural gas. It's a polluting material just like any other. So I'm calling for an emergency response to this climate crisis, organized by working people, organized by people like in the industries of BP who best know how to clean up the environment. I think if you put it to a vote at BP, they wouldn't want to be producing oil for this country. They would want to switch to producing something like, photovoltaic cells or wind power. And they could also lead the charge in cleaning up the Gulf because they best know how to do it because they work in these industries. And we need to look to those ideas for solutions, not natural gas. And certainly not oil.
Ms. Brickley, 2 minutes.
Okay, the best way for us to continue to be leaders, or to reclaim the leadership position in the fuel cells, is to make sure that we have a strong education and that we do not do anything that negatively impacts the businesses in the state that are in the fuel cell technology. That starts by making sure that we do not go forward with the cap and trade tax, which in effect will be a tax on our energy. Cap and trade is intended to improve the quality of the environment, but in effect, all it's going to do is raise the cost of our energy, which in turn is going to be passed on to small business owners, large business owners, you, the residential customers as well. We are already paying the second highest energy cost here in the country. Connecticut is second to only Hawaii. If the cap and trade tax goes through, then our taxes are going to be even higher. It will make it even more difficult for small businesses to succeed. So unlike my opponent, Congressman Larson, who supports the cap and trade tax, I say no cap and trade tax because it's certainly going to hurt small businesses. We also need to continue our efforts in terms of education, research and development tax credits for new technology, new energy solutions, and things along those ways to make sure that these businesses succeed.